What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word? Hummingbird. Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love and Marriage DC Season 1 Reunion Part 1. So before the show actually kicks off, Carlos King goes backstage to talk to some of the cast members. He goes to see Monique and Chris, and Monique right off the bat is talking about how Winter never reaches out to her. She's always the one checking on Winter. The only time that Winter will initiate any kind of contact between them is when she wants to talk about the show or when she wants to talk about contracts. And so Monique doesn't understand why Winter made it seem like during the season that her and that the two of them were BFFs. So Monique is on this hardcore campaign to distance herself from Winter. And it all started from when Monique came back from Tanzania and Winter had told her about what went down at the dinner that she went to with both Irena and Ashley, and how Irena and Ashley were like mean girling her, and the things that she said about their husbands, you know, the little nicknames that she gave their husbands. And I never saw that conversation the way Monique portrays it. Like she makes it seem like Winter was just absolutely fabricating this fairy tale, this tall tale about what happened at this dinner. And I think that Winter, maybe she embellished a little bit, but she didn't outright lie about what happened at that dinner. I don't think she did. She was telling the story from her perspective. And as we all know, that people can attend the same exact event and have completely different perspectives on how things went down. But when Monique got wind of, or when she began to see how it was Irena and Ashley versus Winter, Monique picked a side, and she picked to be on the side of Irena and Ashley for whatever reason. She believed their version a lot more than Winter's version. Now, it's been a while. I don't remember the details of what went down at that dinner or what exactly Winter said or what Irena and Ashley told Monique. But I remember when I was watching it and when I saw how Monique began to distance herself from Winter and how she began accusing Winter of basically lying to her about how that dinner went, I remember thinking to myself, I don't think Winter was like just outright lying and making up stories about what happened at that dinner. She was giving the perspective from her side, and it didn't match the perspective of Irena and Ashley, but that was about it. But the way that Monique was like, Winter, that is not what you told me. Winter, that's not the picture that you painted for me. That's not what you told me at all. And I'm just like, I never understood exactly where Winter lied about it. So I'm a little bit confused as far as why Monique decided to pick sides and why she just was like absolutely done with Winter and wanted to distance herself from Winter. But moving on from that. After that, Carlos King goes to talk to DJ Quick and Ashley, and DJ Quick said that Ashley was the star of the show. And she was. Ashley was the star of the show, but the show was centered around Winter, so they have to share co-star credits. Ashley and Winter made the show what it was because everything was centered around Winter and Ashley's reaction and Irena's reaction to Winter. It's almost as if you didn't have Winter on this show this season, you probably wouldn't have had a show, that much of a show at all, because everything was about Winter and what Winter said and what Winter did, and Winter, 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 Winter. So then the show finally begins. Jamie looked annoyed. Jamie looked like he was not happy to be there. And I understand that the husbands are not exactly thrilled about being on that stage, but I felt like Jamie was just not happy to be there. Chris says that looking back at the season, when he looked back at the episodes, he saw several things about himself that he feels like he needs to work on, that he needs to change. And he kind of was like, you know, now I see what Monique was talking about when she was griping about this and that about me, because I saw it when I went back and looked at the episodes. And so I'm going to be working on myself. And I was like, Chris, you're constantly simping for this woman. And this woman comes across like she don't care about you. This woman said that she would not marry you again. If she met you now, she would not marry you again. She just want to date you, use your money, but she wouldn't want to marry you again. Like, you're constantly simping for Monique. And what would Monique want to change about herself? Nothing, exactly, because she just came out the womb perfect. Oh, I take that back. Monique did say that she would have changed her tone. She wouldn't have changed what she said or what she did, but she would have changed her delivery on the things that she said. Whatever, Monique. So, Monique says that despite the rumors, her and Chris are still going strong. There is no divorce in sight. They are not thinking about considering, contemplating a divorce, a separation, a move out, none of that. They are still stronger than ever, tighter than ever. Their marriage is strong, and she don't give a damn what anybody has to say. The Samuels are here to stay. Chris said that he's going to start working on all of his issues. I'm like, what issues? I mean, yes, you should not have told your wife to hush at the dinner table in front of everybody else. I mean, that was a big no-no. You should not have done that. And she checked you right then and there. That was a huge no-no to tell your wife to hush in front of other people. But other than that, y'all bickering in front of y'all's friends, that seems like it's every day for y'all. Monique, likes to bicker in front of her friends. You are right along with her bicker. I don't understand the things that Chris feels like the big major things that he needs to change, because everything that Monique has wanted him to do, he's done. So I don't know exactly like what he needs to work on with himself and where he needs to change, unless there was stuff going on behind the scenes that just wasn't shown. So like I said, Chris said he's going to work on himself so that the issues that were in season 1 are not going to pop up again in season 2. And then that's when, what's his name? DJ Quick was like, oh, we're getting a season 2. I hope they do get a season 2, because this show was very interesting to watch. It was what it was. So I hope that they do get a season 2. And like I said, what does Monique need to work on? Is there anything about her that she feels like, maybe not putting your husband down in front of other people, not constantly checking him when he's not doing something wrong in front of other people, not starting arguments with him in front of other people. Any of that ring a bell to you, Monique? So after that, they go to DJ Quick and Ashley. DJ Quick, he still has his gout. He's getting up there in years. He still has his gout, but it's getting better. And he talks about how growing up, he had to have this tough guy persona because as a child, he was taught to not cry, to not show emotions. Boys have to be strong. Boys have to be... boys can't, they can't cry. They can't be emotional. They can't do any of that stuff. Boys have to be like statues or, whatever. So he talks about that. His upbringing made him very, very like the kind of person who hides his feelings, who hides his emotions. And he says that when he met Ashley, she was the very first person that he felt comfortable enough with to show his emotions and to be emotional with and to have that emotional connection. Like he felt really vulnerable and open with Ashley. And so that kind of just shows how these two are, they're good together. He feels comfortable enough to be more vulnerable with her. She doesn't use it against him. She allows him to be emotional. She encourages him, in fact, to show his emotions and to be emotional. So that was just a testament on how they work really well together and how, they probably are very good for each other, because out of all the couples on this show, I'm not saying that Ashley and Quick are like the best couple and their couple goals. Absolutely not. But on this show, if you compare all three couples, Ashley and Quick are probably the most healthy compared to the other two. So Ashley says that she would not, because I think Carlos King asked her, would you have married at the age of 21 if you could do it all over again? And Ashley was like, absolutely not. I would not have gotten married that young, because at the time that she was a wife and a mother, her peers were in college. They were trying to figure out who they were, what path they wanted to take in life, what they wanted to do with their careers. And she was already cemented in the role of wife and mother. So she talks about how because of that, because she got married so young, she lost herself in those two identities, the mom and wife role. She completely lost herself, and it took her a very long time to find herself again. And because she didn't know who she was or what her purpose was besides being a wife and a mom, this caused for her to go into a really deep depression that lasted for many years. So yeah, she says if she could do it over again, she would not have gotten married at 21. So then they turn to Irena and Jamie, and Carlos King asks Irena, is Jamie controlling? Because the fans seem to think that he is a little bit controlling from what we've seen on the season. And Irena says that Jamie in the beginning of their marriage, Irena said that Jamie controlled everything early on in our marriage, but not so much now because I speak up for myself. So they talk about how in the beginning he was also very controlling of their finances. The money that she made, she would give it to him and he would be the one to, do whatever he needed to do with it. So he was controlling both of their finances 100%. She had no say so at all in what was going on with their money on how to manage the money. So Jamie says that the reason why he felt like he had to control the finances was because when he met Irena, when he got married to Irena, she had a lot of debt and she was really bad and irresponsible with money. So he felt the need to take the reins in the financial department of the relationship. And so he said he paid off her debts, and he said that he created the person that she is today, who was a boss. And Irena actually agreed that Jamie created her and made her who she is today. So all I can say is that Irena is brainwashed. Irena is absolutely brainwashed. Jamie is controlling. I think that there is, she's afraid of him. She's in fear of him. That's what it seems like to me. And yes, she does. It looks like there were moments when she would speak up for herself. But when she speaks up for herself, he doesn't respect it. He tries to bulldoze her down again. So I do see where Jamie does come across as like, at the very least, like emotionally abusive or psychologically abusive, because it's like he doesn't respect her. He doesn't value her. I don't know. He sees himself. It comes across to me that he sees himself as he's better than her. He's smarter than her, that she wouldn't be anywhere without him, that it's his duty, it's his job to shape her, to mold her, to tell her what needs to be done, to guide her in the right direction. And this is all very misogynistic. And Irena she's so deep in the thick of Jamie's world that she doesn't even see that she's a victim of Jamie. She doesn't even see that. You know, she thinks that what he's doing is good for her because that's how he's brainwashed her. That's how he's conditioned her into believing that, you know, you need me. I'm good for you. I'm helping you out. I'm making you better because you were in debt and I took you out of your debt. And, you know, you were nothing back then. Now you're a boss lady. So he keeps on drilling this into her head. And so now, you know, after 20 something years, she really does believe it. Carlos King asked Jamie, no, he asks Irena, is Jamie very handsy? Is he abusive towards you? Irena said no. She says, when he grabbed my face was because I wouldn't stop talking. And of course, it was about Winter. Now, the fact that you were talking about Winter at that moment when he grabbed her face, I don't even know what why the relevancy of saying that. Like, oh, I was talking about Winter. Who cares what you were talking about? You could have been talking about the price of beans. He had no right to put his hands on you and to turn your head like that, especially in front of the camera and especially in front of y'all's friends. He had absolutely no right to do that. You don't put your hands on people in an attempt to try to control them into doing something, because that was the scene where they were talking about Winter. They're at some restaurant and they had that fourth miscellaneous couple. And they were going on and on about Winter and the things that Winter said because Monique had brought it up. Oh, Winter said this and Winter said that. So Irena was giving her 2 cents and Jamie was done with the conversation. He wanted to leave. So he gets up to actually walk away, but Irena wasn't leaving. She was still talking. And so he puts his hand on her chin, on her jaw, and he turns her face like, let's go. We're leaving. Come on, let's go. And that was just all the way wrong. And it's like, look, if that's what y'all do in the privacy of y'all's home, he likes to get handsy with you like that. Okay, fine. But he needs to have the sense to know. That's another thing that I don't understand about Jamie. He doesn't have the sense that God gave him to realize and figure out, I can't be acting like this in public. This does not sit right with the rest of the world for me to be doing like this and to be treating my wife like this. Like, don't you even know that? Don't you have the sense to know that, like, you're acting all wrong in public? So, once again, so this is another example of Jamie feeling the need to control his wife. You know, he was done with being a part of this conversation. So like, he's like, if I'm done, she's done, and we both got to go. Well, what if she wants to stay and talk? What if she's got more things to say? If you want to leave, you have 2 feet, put one in front of the other and get gone. But your wife still wants to sit at the table with her friends and continue on with this conversation. You had no right to make her leave with you if she didn't want to leave. If she didn't want to leave. Now, if she's one of those people that's like, I got to follow my husband everywhere he goes, that's fine. But she wasn't done. So, you know, that was just wrong. So then Irena tries to justify and make excuses for Jamie and say that, oh, when he grabbed my face, he wasn't grabbing that hard. Girl, it doesn't even matter what the intensity of the grab was. The fact is, he grabbed your face because he was trying to yank you out of this moment, out of this scene, and get y'all out of there. He didn't want to hear this anymore. Whatever the hell y'all were talking about, he was through. He had no right to do that. Don't you understand? He had no right to do that. Even if he didn't even put his hands on you, even if he just told you, we're leaving, come on, let's go, he has no right to do that. You're a grown adult. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. If you want to sit there and talk, sit there and talk. You don't have to get up and leave just because he does. He doesn't have to force you to leave. So then they go deeper into Jamie and Irena's relationship, and they talk about how, there was a time in their relationship, 3 different times. I don't know if it was 3 different times or all at once, but at some point in her marriage, Irena ended up talking to 3 different men, and Jamie found out about it because he saw the messages on her phone or something. And so, it was a really dark moment in their marriage because Jamie said that he was willing to go to jail once he got wind of the fact that these men, at least one of them, wanted to sleep with Irena, and made it very clear that that was his intention, was to get her in bed. So, Jamie lost his mind, and he was like, I was willing to go to jail over some nonsense like that. So Irena says that the reason why she was seeking out the attention and the companionship of other men was because at that time Jamie was always MIA. And so this is where the whole red light special comes in. She says there would be moments where he would be gone for hours, and she would call him, trying to figure out, like, what the hell, are you coming back home? Are you okay? What's up? She would call him. He would never answer his phone. And so hours later, when he finally got back to her, he would be like, oh yeah, I missed your call because I fell asleep at the red light. And Irena probably fell for this, but nobody else does. Nobody else did, but she did. And so, so that was the whole thing about her with these other guys, was because, Jamie was out doing his own thing, probably acting like a single man. And she was like, okay, if you're a single man, I must be a single woman. So I'm going to go do what I do. So Jamie said that Irena painted a picture of him being controlling, mean, and insensitive. So once again, he is blaming her for the opinions of the public, because I'm pretty sure he saw how the public was responding to his behavior, and he blames her for it. It's like, well, people think I'm like this because of you. No, fool, it's because of you, because of how you acted, how you came across on camera. That's why we think the way we think about you, Jamie. It's got nothing to do with anything she said. It's all based on your own actions and your own words. So Irena was like, what do you mean I painted a picture that you were being controlling, mean, and insensitive? And so they talk about that one incident, which wasn't filmed on camera, but it occurred before they went to go look at that house with their friend couple. So the night before, there was an event for her best friend's birthday. And because I think Jamie's an event planner. So he had planned this whole event for her best friend's birthday. And when Irena showed up, he comes out, and I guess he was like on the second floor, the balcony of the second floor or something. So when Irena showed up, she calls him to let him know that she's there. He comes out on the balcony, and he was going to park the car for her. This is what I gathered. I could be wrong. He was going to park the car for her. So as he's on the balcony looking down at her, she starts to move the car. And so he got upset because he thought that she was driving away. So he starts yelling at her, screaming at her. And she was like, I'm not leaving. I'm just moving the car up a little bit. So it was just like a miscommunication. But it was a miscommunication that caused him to lose his mind. Irena said that she felt so embarrassed about how he was talking to her in front of other people, because there were other people there, that she didn't even go into the event. She completely missed the whole event because she was too embarrassed to come out of the car, after she just got yelled at like this by her husband. So she went home. So Jamie was like, I wasn't yelling at you. It wasn't that serious. And she was like, it wasn't that serious, but you were yelling at me. I would not have left my best friend's birthday if it wasn't that serious. So I tend to believe Irena, because Jamie does exhibit signs of someone who cannot control his anger. So DJ Quick says that he would never have checked his wife in front of other people like that. And I wonder what the hell Chris and Monique were thinking, because they like to get down and dirty in front of their friends and other people. They like to go at it like that, like they're Tyson and Holyfield. Moving on from that. So then Miss Winter Williams comes out, who I think she was like the real star of the show because everything was about her. So she comes out, and as soon as she comes out, the whole discussion turns to her profession. Like, what do you actually do for a living? Now, I don't remember, but I'm just going to go with what everybody else said on stage, that when they first met Winter at Monique's dinner, her vegetarian or her vegan dinner, Winter had introduced herself as a relationship. And I think I do remember. She introduced herself as a relationship expert. And so the naysayers, Ashley, Irena, and them, they were like, well, what qualifies you to be a relationship expert? Like, what are your credentials? I think they asked her. And I forgot what she said, but they were like, very doubtful about what she did for a living. or the fact that if she was any good at it, because that was that whole discussion about how can you be an expert on relationship when your own marriage has failed. You've had 2 failed marriages, but you're a so-called expert. And so I think Winter was trying to defend herself by saying that, hey, because of what I've been through, I am an expert because I've been through it all. I've seen it all. I've been through the ups and downs of marriages. So I am an expert, and I do qualify to give people advice. You don't have to be successful to be an expert. And I remember very clearly Ashley saying, yes, you do. Yes, you do. So they're going back and forth on that. Now, the issue at the reunion about Winter's profession was that on Twitter, she had said that she was not a relationship expert. And I think that she had alluded to the fact that she hadn't been a relationship expert for a while. She had put that behind her, and now she was just a spiritual leader or something. So on stage at the reunion, that's when Ashley was really trying to dig deep into her. And she was like, so you're basically calling me a mean girl because I was questioning your credentials as far as being a relationship expert when you yourself got on Twitter and said that you were not a relationship expert. So they're trying to make it look like, Winter was a hypocrite. So they go back and forth with that. Winter tried and I don't have an issue with Winter. I think Winter went through a lot because everybody was against her. Nobody on this show liked Winter. Absolutely nobody. Even when there was no reason to hate her, they hated her. For example, like the husbands. When they got done talking to her crazy, like weird husband, second husband, Kevin, when they got done talking to him, they automatically believed him and didn't believe Winter anymore, and said that Winter was lying about the status of their divorce or the status of their marriage. So even the gods turned against her. So Winter had no friend at all. She had nobody on her side. Every time she showed up in a scene, she was like, dodging bullets. She was constantly in battles and fights, going round for round with everybody on the show. So for her to stay until the very end and to show up to the reunion just shows like how strong she is to face all of this. But still, I do believe that at the reunion, Ashley had her backed into a corner when it came to the whole thing about her career. And it came to the point where Winter just basically had to admit, okay, so yeah, I might have lied about that or something like that. I'm not a relationship expert. I'm a spiritual leader or something. So then it goes into the whole situation of why did Winter call Ashley and Urena gutter Barbies? And gutter Barbies to Winter are pretty girls who play dirty or something like that. So Winter said that she had called them that in response to what they said about her husband. And she did admit that she had over-exaggerated her story to Monique. I don't remember that. I don't really remember her maybe if she said she did, then she did, but I don't remember it being as bad as the way Monique painted it out to be. So she says that the reason why she attacked them the way she did by calling them gutter Barbies was because of how they attacked her ex-husband. And here Ashley was like, okay, and why did you have a problem with us attacking your ex-husband? And Winter said, because I had told y'all that was the father of my children, so I didn't want y'all talking about him. And so then Ashley said, well, when you talk about our husbands, they're the father of our children, so how come, what's good for the gander ain't good for the goose? So, I mean, what could Winter say about that? I think what Winter should have said was she should have said, look, don't talk about my ex-husband because he's not here to defend himself. Okay, so please refrain from talking about him, because you can talk about Kevin because Kevin's there and he can go tit for tat with y'all. But please don't talk about my ex because he's not here to defend himself or give his side of the story. That's what she should have said instead of saying because he's the father of my kids. I mean, all of these men are fathers of somebody's children. So Carlos King asked Winter, are there things that you know about Quick and Jamie that their wives are not aware of? Because this is where they start talking about Winter's accusations that Quick and Jamie were unfaithful to their wives, I guess more recently than the infidelities that occurred in the past. And so Winter says yes, that she does have information that Irena and Ashley don't have. And so but she said that she wasn't going to show any receipts. And so that's where I felt like, okay, Winter, you're kind of losing me, girl, because, I really admire you and I'm very, very proud of you that you were able to last as long as you did with the battles that you were constantly fighting with these people. But when you said, I have the information, but I'm not going to reveal the source and I'm not going to show any receipts, that's when I kind of am like, Winter, you can't do that. That just makes you look like a liar because people want to see the receipts. They want to know where you're getting this information from. You don't have to name names names. You can show text messages. You can show DMs, whatever you got to show. Block out the person's name, mark out the person's name. But girl, you got to show something, because Monique comes from the background of Monique's background. She brings receipts. Okay. She brings receipts. So Monique has kind of conditioned us into, like, if you're going to be accusing people of something, please come with your files, your graphics, your poster boards, your oversized text message poster boards. Come there with something, girl. Don't just be like just throwing out these bullets and then, but I'm not going to tell you who told me. I don't think you can do that on a reality TV show, especially one of this caliber. So then Ashley got really upset, because Ashley like scooted up, when she was going toe to toe with Winter. Ashley was like on the edge of her seat, like she was about to pounce. So Ashley was like, we know that it's that new boyfriend of yours that's giving you this information. And so then Quick really lost it. He started like shouting and yelling at Winter, and it got so bad that Chris Samuels had to tell Quick, okay, I understand you're mad, bro, but calm down, because you're still talking to a lady. And so then Quick was like calling people all kinds of bitches and I don't know what. And he says he wasn't referring to Winter as a bitch. He was referring to her boyfriend as a bitch, or her boyfriend, I guess. And Quick was so angry. And I was just like, look, I know what it's like when someone is saying something about you that's false, because you feel like people are going to believe them, even though they don't have the receipts to back up what they're saying. You don't want people to believe something about you that's not true. But honey, if it ain't true, it ain't true. If you and Ashley are secure in y'all's marriages, then keep it cool, calm, and collected. Because, for example, on The Real Housewives of Potomac, when people were going hard against Michael and Ashley Darby, the whole entire time, Michael, especially Ashley just took it. She was like, no, I don't believe my husband's doing those things. No, I don't believe my husband's gay. Nope, I don't believe that my husband's cheating on me. And they'd be like showing her videos and pictures and all kinds of stuff. And she's like, I don't know if that's Michael or not. So why would I get mad? Well, I can't tell you that's Michael. I mean, she kept it cool, calm, and collected, to the point where you were kind of like, she doesn't seem really bothered by the things that they're saying. So either she really believes in her marriage, or these people are really lying on Michael, because she never once got out of pocket with it. She's just like, nah. And people would ask her, so do you believe Michael, or do you believe, your lying eyes? And she'd be like, no, I believe my husband. I believe my husband. The whole entire time she was cool, calm, and collected, and she stood by her man to the very end until she couldn't do it no more. And then she very silently separated from him. So the same thing with Quick and what's her name? Ashley. Look, if it ain't true, just sit there, look pretty, look handsome, and just look at Winter like she's crazy. Like, Winter, you're lying. You're lying, but that's that. Just don't, the fact that Quick was like so crazy and he just completely erupted like a volcano, it kind of made it look like, is there some truth in what Winter is saying? Even though she ain't got nothing to back it up, your reaction is all the receipts that she needs. That's kind of like what it seemed like. But anyway, that is my review of The Real Housewives. Of Love and Marriage DC. It was a really good review. I really did enjoy it. I loved Monique's dress. Love that dress on her. So yeah, that is my little review. Hopefully part 2 will be just as good, and hopefully you'll join me for that review as well. I really do appreciate you spending this time with me on your way out. Please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please subscribe, and I'll definitely talk to you later.